Hello, everybody. This is Qesheth again, and 93. This will be the fifth in the series of discussions entitled Tarot and the Major Arcana and the Paths of Return. In this class, we will be discussing Atu 17, the Star, path number 28. We will start with some of the attributions to this path and follow with a brief discussion. The 28th path is called the natural intelligence because through it is completed or perfected the nature of all that exists beneath the sphere of the sun. The tarot card is the star. The title of this card is the daughter of the firmament, dweller between the worlds. The astrological path, it's an astrological path attributed to Aquarius, the water bearer, ruled by Saturn in the old system and now by Uranus. It is the path that connects Yetzak to Yesod, nature, the desire nature, to the foundation and the sexual impulses. In this diagram, you see the emperor, which is a thelemic representation, but I'm going to stick with the standard correspondence of the star. But the difference will be that in the old system, Tzadi, the letter Zadi, was attributed to the star. I do not agree with this, so I will be attributing the letter He, and I will be explaining why I did this. The Hebrew letter, again, is He, which means window. The numerical value for this card, or for the letter, is 5. The color in the king scale is violet. Now, we talked about this, that the paths should be colored in the king scale, because these are active, moving forces represented by the kings, where the queens are the thrones, stability. And they would be, so the Sephira would be attributed to the queens and colored in the queen scale. The perfume is galbanum. The magical tools are the censer, incense, and the aspergillus, the asperger. The stone, interestingly enough, is artificial glass. The constituting of various aspects to complete a clearer perception. So think about that. The stone for this path is artificial glass. And you think what glass is, all these different sand or mica molecules brought together, mica particles brought together and fused. So in a way, it's the constituting of various aspects to complete a clearer perception. Some of the plants attributed to this path are olive, coconut, ferns, and air plants, such as orchids. Use your imagination. There's so many plants out there, and any airy plant can be attributed to this path. And we talked about that earlier, that the importance of learning the attributions for the path is mainly in astral travel, where you'll understand what world or what force you're dealing with if you understand what you're supposed to be seeing, and you can tell if something's out of place. So it's very important to learn the attributions for these paths. And I do recommend Aleister Crowley's book, 777. The animals for this path, interestingly enough, is man, as seen in the World and the Wheel of Fortune cards in the four corners, as a symbol of Aquarius. The eagle, the peacock. And interestingly enough, that the peacock is attributed to this path because this is one of the experiences. Here on this path, The aspirant is preparing to go through the first veil in spiritual consciousness, and this is called the veil of Paroketh. And aspirants that have reached this level report seeing showers of colorful light that resemble a peacock's tail. And this is a universal experience for all initiates. And so this is one of the indicators of attainment to this level on the tree of life. Some of the god forms for this path are Mercury, Roman, Nuit, Egyptian, Juno, who is Roman, and Isis, also Egyptian. And these are just some of the god forms for this path. If you think about any airy gods, Herumcus, there's a lot of airy gods out there. So again, study your attributions. I can't go through every god and goddess and every plant because it would take days. The magic work for this path is astrology. If you subscribe to Thelemic thought, then the holy book reading for this path would be Liber 65, chapter 2. In the body, Aquarius rules the legs, and this particular card rules the female orgasm. The meditation or thought affirmation for this path: the mother is the daughter is the mother. And I'll be explaining more why that is as we move along. This is the path of merging of the personal unconscious with the desire nature, connecting Netzach, victory, Venus, desire nature, with Yesod, the foundation, the sexual, and the astral plane. The transmutation of the procreative energies of Yesod into more rarefied desire or will force. So you're transforming this force, this natural force that would come in and drive us to procreate, drive us just to the animal aspects of our being. So you're transmuting this force into more rarefied desire or will force. The aspirant is now drawing down the divine dew of Amrita upon themselves through their works and efforts. This is the path of work and effort. He is the window wherein the breath of Aleph, the full, and the light of the Son and the Father inform the soul. This is the path of meditation, as you can see in these cards. And we will explain the symbology in these cards in a few minutes. Bringing the unconscious to consciousness through stilling the outer and inner activities of the body and ego. The star is also referenced to the sun, for the sun is the star of our spiritual existence. Every man and every woman is a star. The center of our being here represented as Tifereth, our center of beauty and harmony. This is the realm of the HGA. When the aspirant reaches this level in his work, there he achieves knowledge and conversation. This is the sun within us, the sun center, informed by the supernal triad. This path of meditation brings us to awareness and consciousness of this divine messages. This is the Great Mother prior to incarnation, for here she is naked, reminding me of Isis, unveiled. This is the same figure as shown in the Atu, the Empress, the High Priestess, and the Universe, the cards. So this is the soul in its various aspects of incarnation, of coming into being, of coming into manifestation. The priestess is the pure matrix, the pure light. The empress is the product of the union of the magician and the priestess, bringing forth creation. So these three cards represent the various levels of incarnation for the soul as it comes into existence. The natural intelligence that this card is referred to refers to the fact that this intelligence is natural to the soul, but is forgotten through incarnation. In the older system, the letter Zadi was assigned to this card, but with new revelations, that was seen as incorrect. The proper attribution is He. In the Tetragrammaton, the divine name is Yod He Vav He. The figure in this card represents the second He, the soul before full incarnation, seen in the final He. And this is the Tetragrammaton written out. Normally in Hebrew it's written from right to left, but I've written it from left to right. Yod He Vav He. So you have the fire of Hakma, He, Binah, Tha, Tipperith, and of course the princess, who is Malkuth, the bride. So you have these two manifestations of the Great Mother. Here, she is Binah. This card represents the second He in the divine name before full manifestation. The figure in this card represents the second He, the soul before full incarnation seen in the final He, Bina on a lower arc. In the natural state, the soul that has conscious natural knowledge of its origins and full communication with the supernals. So like we talked about earlier, this is called the natural intelligence, path number 28. The natural intelligence. Why? Because it is natural to have this knowledge. We have natural abilities, natural intuitions. This knowledge is natural to our soul, and yet it is lost through repeated incarnation. Okay, in this natural state, so what you're doing is you're bringing yourself back to this natural state before full incarnation in flesh, into the nephesh. And so you begin to gain that intuitive knowledge of that which was lost through incarnation. Okay, we're going to talk about the cards a little bit. I used the two decks, the Crowley Thoth deck and the Rider-Waite deck. These are the two decks I'm most familiar with. For beginners, I would definitely recommend the Rider-Waite. Crowley's deck is very complex in its symbology, but it's a very good deck, and I would highly recommend it. Anyway, we'll start with Crowley's deck. Here you see her in kind of the figure of the Yod. She has two cups, the gold representing the male energy, which is manifested as the silver cup. Here you see the flowing of spiritual energy going down into the geometric forms of physical incarnation or physical reality. Okay? Here you have the seven-pointed star of Venus of Babylon. Babylon is another manifestation of this feminine goddess energy, and the swirling of the universe. It is seen that the universe comes into manifestation through swirling energy. The Fibonacci sequence, you can see it in seashells. It's a swirling energy from center outward and then from outward back inward. This planet represents again Venus. Venus, again, being the desire natures, the instinctual nature, and also the planet of love. For the whole tree of life contains the symbol of Venus. Here you can barely see them, and I might be able to get a little closer, are roses attributed to Venus, and then these butterflies are attributed to Aquarius. The union of air, the ruach, the reasoning consciousness, and the unconsciousness. In this card, they're working in unison. This is where the aspirant begins to get those divine, to open up again his intuition, his divine, that which was already there, to awaken that which was in him, and learn to hear this inner voice, the inner voice of his intuition. Crowley's cups were supposed to have been shaped by breasts. I really shaped like breasts, representing the milk of the stars, the Amrita, the Akashic fluid, the electrified fluid of creation that all things are composed of. Interestingly enough, Waite's card has the same symbology. Again, we have Isis unveiled. She's unveiled, showing that she's still she's not fully in physical manifestation yet. In one of the famous depictions of Isis, it says, no man shall lift my veil. Interesting, because one of the titles for those who attain to master of the temple are no man. That's an interesting meditation. In Waite's card also, she has two cups, of course, pouring the universal unconsciousness into the material world of consciousness. So she has been able to manifest her desire nature. She's redirecting her desire nature to meet higher goals. She's learning how to manifest and use the universal energy of the universe, the alchemical waters. Instead of just using them for procreation and everyday life, she's now redirecting them to higher spiritual gains. Interestingly enough, on Waite's card, he has 8 stars. 8 kind of points to a couple things. 8 is mercurial in its number. It is the number of Hod, Mercury. He also has these 7 stars, which could represent the 7 planets, with the center star being Tiphereth, the sun, and it is colored appropriately, meaning that the sun is the informing. All things are brought into harmony in Tiphereth before coming into manifestation. So it would be communication with the sun, who is the Father. In the background, you see a tree, the tree of life. And this bird is supposed to represent Hermes, the spiritual messenger of Hod, or Mercury. And again, you have the 2 cups representing consciousness and unconsciousness. As you can see more in Crowley's, the more active golden cup is pouring forth the alchemical waters, the alchemical wheel flowing again from the High Priestess card, bound into physical manifestation. And we talked about earlier, in the older system, before the discovery of Uranus, Saturn was attributed to Aquarius, but now it is Uranus who rules this sign. Uranus is a planet of expansion, invention, altruism. This is the path of universal service. Aquarius is an air sign, fixed air. Air, the ruach, spirit, and reason, united with the universal unconsciousness. Aquarius is a very dark sign. It is the dead of winter. It is a sign right after Capricorn and before Pisces. So this is a sign of the dead of winter, where ideas gestate, waiting to be brought forth. In this card, you have the coming together of air, the ruach, and the waters of creation, Braya, working in unison. Interestingly enough, some of the things that Qesheth likes to point out, he likes to add some of these numbers together. So this is Atu number 17. Number 17, 1, 7 adds to 8. Again, pointing to the mercurial essence, but also pointing to the 8th card of the tarot, strength, which also represents the soul taming and bringing under control the animal instincts. Again, to recap this is the path that links Netzach, nature, the instinctual nature, to Yesod, the sexual nature, the astral, the foundation of the universe. This is the matrix of all the physical universe, where the ideas are held, getting ready to come into manifestation. So it represents those two and unifies these two paths. This is getting closer, again, to the veil of Paroketh, which will be the first veil that the aspirant must go through in his attainment to higher levels of consciousness. The path is attributed to the star, Aquarius, and the Hebrew letter is He, the second He in the Tetragrammaton. The work for this path is meditation. We talked about this earlier. We must learn to bring our mind to single focus. We must learn to be able to calm and quiet our bodies, because in this quiet state, the divine can speak, the secret self, the true self, our soul, our spirit, that which we are trying to unify and bring into harmonious relation, harmony and beauty, to awaken our Tipperethic centers within ourselves, to awaken our highest self, our HGA, that which was unmanifested, we are now making manifest, giving birth to the divine child. This wraps up this discussion. I hope this helps you in your understanding of these tarot cards and this path. One of the things I really haven't been talking about is the meaning of the card, and really we get that as we look at the overall attributions and explanations. But if you get this card in a reading, of course, it means inspiration and spiritual insight. And something else that Qesheth would like to point out is this is path number 28. If you take 2 and 8 is 10. which shows also a completion of some of these other paths before the next path that we will be talking about on our Tree of Life. If you are enjoying these videos, again, I started with path number 32 in the previous classes, went 31, 30, and is still working up the Tree of Life. So if you're enjoying these classes, please like the classes and leave any comments for any other esoteric subjects that you would like to see me cover. Again, I have been an aspirant for over 30 years. I'm an initiate of 3 different orders. I don't know everything, but if there is something you would like to know that you can feel I could help you with, please leave it in the comment sections below. I will be, after I get through talking about the paths on the Tree of Life, I'll be talking about the Sephiroth and the minor cards. And I'll also be doing future classes on I Ching, as well as other esoteric subjects. Thank you. 93.